Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I first of all wanted to thank the GBC COM, and the EC of the GBC for all of their help and support they've given us over the last several years. Without their support, I doubt whether we would have made it this far. As many of you can see, the project is progressing at a very rapid rate, and we're all very happy with this pace. I'm especially happy that things are coming in under budget also. I wanted to give credit to Sadhbhuj and all of his team for the hard work they do day after day to bring this project to fruition. Without his wonderful team and all the support that they give each other, I don't think it would be nearly as far as we are. This is a tremendous example of what can happen when devotees cooperate with each other. I wanted also to take this opportunity to invite members of the GBC while they're here in Mayapur to come to the TOVP office in the Long Building and have a tour of the facility and meet some of the team members. And also perhaps maybe Sadhbhuj can arrange to take some of you out to the site if you wanted to go out there. So thank you once again for everything, and by the grace of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, we'll be able to bring this project to fruition sometime in the next several years. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
2010 was a landmark year for the temple of the Vedic Planetarium, beginning with the inauguration of the temple in February. The ceremony was performed in the presence of ISKCON governing body commissioners and senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Sacred yantras were installed in the cardinal directions, laying a metaphysical foundation for the temple. The installation was expertly guided by Sri Niranjana Babu, India's leading Vastu consultant. A Vedic fire sacrifice invoked auspiciousness for the temple construction. After the inauguration, the path was clear for the long-awaited construction phase to begin. Project manager Pundarikakshu Govindadas oversees more than 50 engineers and 800 labourers working on the construction site. The first step was the site survey and marking out the position of the temple. Then the rig machinery arrived and the piling rigs were built to a height of more than 100 feet to push the foundations deep into the ground. This plate is the pile shoe, which goes right down to the bottom of the piling hole and prevents sand or water from entering into the pile. Here the rig is ready to pile. The massive hanger bangs the pile casing, pushing the pile shoe 100 feet into the ground. Next, the pile is filled with reinforced concrete and the casing removed to leave the finished foundation. 5 rigging machines inserted a total of 2,332 piles within 7 months. Normal concrete reinforcement begins to rust within 50 years. To prevent this from happening, the temple is being built with high-grade stainless steel reinforcement, which will last for many hundreds of years. The computer-controlled batching plant mixes concrete on-site from huge stockpiles of raw materials. A pile test was performed to check that the piles do not move under the required weight of 83 tons. Tests with sonic wave equipment were carried out to ensure that the piles were free from any cracks over their full length. The next level in construction is a pile cap foundation, which is laid over several piles. Together, these piles support one pile cap, which then supports one column of the building structure. To commemorate the finishing of the piling work in November 2010, donors and staff members' names were placed into the foundation, and project directors Ambarish and Bhavananda Prabhus visited the site to check on progress. After the piling was finished, the tower crane was built. This crane can reach a height of over 300 feet and will be one of 2 cranes on the site which will supply materials to the upper levels of the temple. Fortunately, there was no flood in Mayapur this year, and construction is currently ahead of schedule. The TOVP construction team is working hard to keep this momentum going as the superstructure of the temple takes shape. Designing the engineering specifications for such a huge building on very sandy soil has been a challenging task, headed up by Mr. Vibhuti Chaudhary, our chief engineer and project advisor. Mr. Chaudhary is a partner in one of India's largest engineering firms, which has completed such major projects as the massive Akshardham complex and the MCD Civic Centre, which is Delhi's tallest building. The TOVP architectural team, which is based in Pune, is working under the direction of head architect Sadbhuj Prabhu. Coordinating the architectural and engineering plans is Vilasini Mataji, who has been with the project since she completed her master's thesis in architecture with the TOVP as her subject. The architectural team is continuing to refine the designs for the exterior of the temple, and the beauty of the temple continues to be revealed more and more with each progressive stage. Over the past year, the team has begun to develop the interior design also, and these are the very first images released of what the inside of the temple will look like. Following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, the temple will be surrounded by verandas which will house the exhibits of the different levels of planetary systems. A beautiful coffered ceiling, such as seen in many landmark buildings of the world, will line the interior of the dome. As the headquarters of the Krishna consciousness movement and a model example of kirtan, hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, it is important that the temple is designed to be a pleasing acoustical space. The acoustical properties of the dome were simulated using state-of-the-art 3D modeling software. In the model, the main temple dome was clad with marble, and the acoustical response predicted. Not surprisingly, the reverberation times returned were very large, up to 100 seconds, which would make kirtans and lectures unintelligible. Next, the dome acoustics were modelled with the inner surface lined with 2 inches of glass wool, a commonly used acoustical material. With this one adjustment, the reverberation time of the dome came down to a manageable level of 1 to 2 seconds at most frequencies. Here is a sound simulation of the dome if it were lined with marble.
It is necessary that we should live in the association of devotees. Dullabha Manava Jana Satsanga. Satsanga means in the association of devotees.
And here is a simulation with the dome lined with 2 inches of glass wool.
It is necessary that we should live in the association of devotees. Dullabha Manava Janama Satsanga. Satsanga means in the association of devotees.
To meet the design requirements of a coffered ceiling, the architectural and acoustics teams are currently developing an attractive coffered ceiling panel which will also meet the acoustical requirements for the dome. A huge open dome that has very pleasing acoustics will be another unique feature of the temple. The Vedic cosmology team has been further developing the design for the Chandelier Model throughout 2010. Up until February 2010, the team was mainly focused on designing the movements of the planets within the model, from the Sun up to Dhruvaloka. Now that the planetary movements of the model have been finalized, the Vedic cosmology team is working on the full design of all 14 planetary systems, from Brahmaloka to the subterranean planets. The TOVP website has continued to grow, with the blog giving regular updates throughout the year. Visitors to the site can now read about the TOVP in English, Spanish, Russian and Hindi. Staff levels for the temple have risen significantly as the project has moved into the active construction phase. We now have 22 engineers and 2 assistants in our Department for Civil, Mechanical and Electrical Services. We also have a further 26 staff in other areas such as legals, secretarial, finance, design, IT, etc. This makes a total of 50 Temple of Vedic Planetarium staff currently engaged in the project. Our construction company Gammon has a further 30 engineers and 900 labour staff working on the construction site. Our staff come from a wide variety of backgrounds, reflecting the wide diversity of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
Hare Krishna. As you can see from our web page, the piles, the foundation is being completed, and now we're working on the superstructure, which is, you can see, that's coming up behind us.
Hare Krishna. 19 lat temu, kiedy przyjechałem do Mayapur, zacząłem swoją służbę oddania, nadzorując wykończenie samadhi.
新庙的落成将标志着一个历史性时刻的到来。学了Bhaktivinoda Thakur的预言将成为现实，这也是主尼天南的对 Jiva Goswami 的预言。所以，我们将来所有的人都可以到这里一起唱诵 Hare Krishna。
মহাপ্রভুর জন্মস্থান, এখানে মহাপ্রভু বলেছেন যে এই মন্দির হবে, সেই মন্দিরটা এখন হচ্ছে। তো নিত্যানন্দ প্রভু জীব গোস্বামীকে দর্শন করেছিলেন যে এটা হচ্ছে নবদ্বীপ ধাম। এই অদ্ভুত মন্দির, এই মন্দিরটা এখন কনস্ট্রাকশন চলছে।
आप लोग देख रहे हो वो टेम्पल ऑफ वेदिक प्लानिटोरियम प्रोजेक्ट है। हम लोग लास्ट ईयर वो अप्रैल में स्टार्ट किया था। 6 महीना में अभी 2400 पाइलिंग पूरा कंप्लीट किया। अभी 2 टावर क्रेन डाल रहा हूँ, उसको मटेरियल्स पूरा उसको स्ट्रक्चर पर सप्लाई करने के लिए।
Hare Krishna, siamo a Mayapur e questo è la costruzione del tempio di cui Srila Prabhupada ha sognato così tanto.
Кришна. Как вы уже знаете из репортажей, которые регулярно обновляются на нашем веб-сайте, мы закончили возведение фундамента главного храма, закончили забивание колонн, на которых будут установлены узловые соединения всего здания.
Sanibonani nonke. Siyajabula ukunibonisa itemple lase Vedic Planetarium. sithemba ukuthi kwelinye ilanga nonke nizosivakashela nizocula nijabule noLord Chaitanya.
Buenos días, Hare Krishna. Todas las glorias a Srila Prabhupada. Esta es la construcción del templo del Planetario Védico, donde actualmente están trabajando 600 empleados obreros para llevar a cabo el sueño de Srila Prabhupada.
The team prays for your blessings to remain fixed on this task of becoming an instrument for the desires of Srila Prabhupada, the previous acharyas, and Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in manifesting this temple for the glorification of the Supreme Lord.